And here we are, a week later. I'm going to give this a try. Like I said, every Sunday, whatever's gone on in the last 7 days, I'm going to report back and talk about it just because the channel's very small still. So right now I'm doing whatever I got to do in order to encourage creativity within myself. That's sort of what the purpose of this channel is. And how it evolves is sort of dependent on a lot of factors that, I'll be honest with you, not really thinking about. Right now it's as you can see, as variety as it gets, because I'm trying to archive a lot of my past work into one place as well as I start to shut down things behind me so that I can move forward with other creative plans. That's pretty much it. That's the summary of it. But reading is a big part of it, and so that's always going to be a big part of this channel as well. And so I'm going to jump right into the book part of this because I think it's going to get easier for me to give the updates and the context around the other stuff that's getting uploaded to the channel, so that for those of you interested, you can kind of get a ballpark of what to expect and when. And so tonight, right before recording this, I just finished the Dragon Age to Winter Nights. I do want to play this game, probably starting it this month, later in the month. When I get back from my trip, I'll talk about that in a second. But what can I say about this? I read the first half of this in summer because I was going to be on a podcast to talk about one of the characters that's in the game, Lucanus, for those of you following along with the game and the lore and whatnot. And I really enjoyed the short story tied to Lucanus. I just realized my book has like a flair there. Every little thing always makes me like, there's some anxiety that grows in me whenever some damage happens to the book. Look, after a read, look how perfect that spine is. And then I got the friggin' laminate coming apart. Okay, I'm derailing. The point is, I got about halfway. I did that podcast. It was a lot of fun. Deconstructing the character and talking about how the impact of this story, like what makes me really want to care about the character inside the game itself. And then the last half of this took me a while. I didn't get around to it in September, and then I finally got around to it pretty much in the last 2 days. It's the weekend. It's Sunday right now. I read this Saturday and tonight, but I was, last night and today, there were some short stories in here that I like half DNF'd. I could not make it through some of these short stories near the end, the tail end of this. I'm not sure what it was. I was extremely tired. Sure, that was probably a personal reason there. I just wasn't feeling some of the stories or the writing style, the pacing. Something was just off on some of these stories. I would say maybe 50% of the short stories in this anthology. Some of them were like, I would say like average, like sort of typically expected. I'd probably put the next 40% into the good territory, maybe. And then I would put the last 10% above good. not like 5 out of 5 stars. The Lucanus story for me was probably the best story of this anthology that I can remember. There might have been 2 more that might have been in that caliber. The last one by Patrick Weeks, obviously, a big name in the franchise itself, and about the Dread Wolf, which is likely a bridge to the actual game. That was kind of intriguing, not because it was not because the details of the story were fascinating, but because it actually connected in with the game lore. And so if you're following the kind of the game lore of all of it and all the other works, and you were attached to Solus as a character, that's sort of like it matters more. But the story plot itself wasn't amazing as a short story, if that makes sense. It was cool for the character moments, but not necessarily as a story. And I'm just talking about the last story of this anthology. So, overall, what would I have given this? I probably put it, if you're a really big fan of the Dragon Age games, it's easy to give this a 4 out of 5. If you're not, and that's sort of where I'm trying to put my headspace right now, if you're not a fan of the games, this is probably a 3. It's probably a 3. I hate to say it because I love the game. I love the game. I love the lore of the game. And I'd probably put this in the 4 range from a subjectively biased perspective. But if I were to honestly give this book a grade that was for other people, I would say a 3. I would say a 3. Comfortably a 3. Because I would say some of the stories, the ones that there's probably 3 or 4 that I DNF'd. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And so that has to balance out with maybe the 3 or 4 that were like, wow, these are really good. I really enjoy the writing on these ones. And then there was all the stuff in the middle. And I think all of that averages out to 3, and I'm just going to move on. Of course, I didn't finish reading this, but I had finished the vlog of this for the channel. I really enjoyed kind of rereading it, as I am wont to do when it comes time to do the vlog. And this is when everything really starts to ramp up in the series, and it's very exciting. I really enjoyed the tail end of this arc, as I've been told in the comments. The arc ends at volume 8, and so recording the vlog of this really got me to just remember all of the pieces that were moving, catch up. I'm kind of in blind territory at this point reading the series, and I'm really enjoying kind of getting more robust, more granular about all my thoughts and findings along the way inside the vlog. So I'm not going to duplicate the information here, and I'm going to talk a little bit later about some stuff that has developed after I've made my way through the volume 8, which was yesterday. When did I do the vlog? Everything is blurring together. I did it Friday or Saturday, I'm not sure. And so I was reading this blind for the vlog itself, and just to see kind of like from a production standpoint, I'm sort of investigating which way works best for me. And right now I really can't tell, because if I read this and then I reread for the vlog, I feel like my thoughts are more coherent when I'm talking about things, because I can put them together and I'm not stumbling about things. That was a weird sentence construction. Whereas when I'm reading blind, I'm sort of having to catch myself figuring things out as I'm reading, which causes me to go back and forth, and it's maybe a little jarring from an audience perspective. And so I'm trying to take that all in consideration and to see what the next steps are for how I want to approach these. Oh, and like high level, 5. This is probably, it's sitting on a 5. I haven't really broke down all the reasons why, but between both of these, I'm just like spitballing now. We're going to get more granular about this because I'm going to talk about what's coming up next for this particular series. This feels like a 4 to me. This feels like a 5 to me, is where I'm kind of high level, but it could be that it's not quite that. They're both 4s. They could both be 5s. I'm not sure, because I'm going to share my screen real quick and show you what I'm kind of working on the side. I am working on this thing right here. That's just some art generated here for my title page. So it's taking me into this thing I call the XCI rating cheat sheet. It was more for myself to have a rating system that I could apply to any media, was my end goal here. I was doing this for one particular project that I'll talk about in a sec, but then I was like, no, I can probably create this in a way that will apply to a bunch of projects and really create this cohesion, I guess, with my approach to reviewing content on this channel. It might be a thing I just get into. I hadn't considered it, but I started brainstorming when working on this other thing I'll talk about next. And I was just like, why wouldn't I just try to take some time and figure out what this could all turn into? And so this is on the screen. I actually, I put together a quick video on the channel because I want to use that video in the descriptions for the content that I end up using the cheat sheet for. And so that people can get like a high level 2-minute, it's 2-minute video. It's really quick. So you can check it out. It's on the channel right now, but this will lead to, in the future, this kind of thing. So this is an example of a volume 1 breakdown. It's not final yet because I still want to do a content for reviewing volumes 1 to 8 for Attack on Titan. That's gonna be a project for when I come back from the next week. I'll talk about that later in the video, in this update. But this is the idea of it, is that there's going to be these 5 categories, and in the 5 categories it can rate 1 to 5, and 3 isn't necessarily the average because it's a little bit above average. So it's the good, and 2 is not necessarily the average. It's okay, because I also want to create a system here that gives me more flexibility and range in the total points, because I eventually want to do something like this, which is like a tier list, or maybe I want to do it for the covers, just one of the categories, and there's some flexibility around this model. I'm trying to create this as a template so that I can replicate this for other read-throughs and analysis videos, reviews. I want to tack on content that differentiates my content from just a review or just an analysis. It's just a read-through. You know what I'm saying? So this is kind of my way of doing it. There's the stellar rating. It could be it's so mind-blowing. One of these categories or components inside something I experienced is so mind-blowing that it could get a bonus point. And I just want to have a column there to give me that bonus point opportunity, which is a way to sort of, if one category is superior, so strong, I want it to basically offset one of the weaker scores in one of the other categories, is the idea there. And it also adds me one extra wildcard point that can fluctuate the pointing system, which will impact then the tier list. Make sense? This is kind of what I'm working on the side, and I'll give you an example of this one right here, because just a segue. I'm working on, this is what actually the brainstorm around the Magnus archives and what I want to do with that is what led to this idea. And so this is the Magnus archive version of it. You can see it's color themed and everything. I can do some cool icons for each of the ones that I'm reviewing so that they're thematically appropriate. And this was a lot of fun. It took me a long time, but I got to play around with my design roots, if you will, you know what I mean, again. And I've been missing that a little bit, actually really thinking about something like a design project that is inspiring for me to do it more. And so this is kind of the idea behind here. I did the launch trailers as an episode 0 when I was brainstorming the actual the process here that led to this, sorry. And so this is again, I'll come back and revisit this, but I'm thinking of doing a couple tester episodes where I start with something like a blank slate. I listen to the podcast and then rate it while I'm listening, so that I'm actually doing something, because I'm just listening, I'm actually doing something else on a screen like this that you're seeing, so that there's some dynamic ebb and flow maybe on some of these categories as I hear things and experience things and comment on things or something. So I think that might be the differentiator for something, doing a reaction series to a podcast. This is kind of where it all started and what I want to explore. Anyways, that's Magnus Archives. It's something I just discovered. It's a podcast out there. It's like a horror podcast. Is this right here? Magnus Archives by Rusty Quill Podcasts. They sound really good. I only listened to the trailer so far. I want to get into this one right here, episode 1, and we'll do a tester episode on this content using this thing. So I think that'll be fun. So we're going to move on with this update. It's already getting lengthier than I thought. I didn't think that was possible. Really, you didn't think that was possible? So there's a travel thing coming up. I'm going to be driving out of province tomorrow. It's about a 10-hour drive or so, I think, with traffic or something. It could be from 9 to 11 hours, but it's probably going to be 10 to 11 hours. And so I've been looking for audiobooks that I can take with me in the car so that I can just blast through some reading. It allows me to get through some books along the way. It's going to be like at least 20 hours on the road. And I will say this, I listen to audiobooks in times 2 speed, especially if I'm concentrating with hyperfocus. It's very easy for me to like absorb information that comes at me that fast. I watch YouTube videos with a Chrome plugin that goes 2.7 times speed. That's natural to me. When I play things at normal speed, I feel like my settings are actually broken and they've slowed things down, and I always have to recheck them. I'm like, oh no, just reset to 1. And it's my brain, like I have to listen to things at least at 2 times speed now, but 2.7 is usually if I'm really focusing and doing nothing else. Yeah, 2.7 is easy. 3 is easy, is fine, is easy. It's crazy. So, but not when I'm driving. I can't be doing 3 while driving because some of my attention needs to be on driving. So, but 2 times speed, maybe 1.5, 1.7, something like that while driving, it's probably doable. And so I've been searching like crazy for some books to read. Now, I do have Brandon Sanderson on the list and Mistborn series, the trilogy, but Brandon Sanderson is a series I wanted to read this month because I want to read. I want to see how he constructs his fiction, how he writes the prose between the characters, how he, because he's got a very distinct style that is very appealing to the modern reading audience, just because of how famous he got in the last 10-15 years. He's obviously doing something right. And so I'm not just consuming his work to consume the stories. I'm consuming his work because I want to analyze how he's writing. Analyze is a strong word. I want to experience how he's writing. As a creative person, right, anything you absorb influences the way that you then output. And that's sort of what I'm doing with Brandon Sanderson and other writers that I've kind of been putting on my top list to consume sooner than later. So I don't think it really works as an audiobook while I'm driving a car. That one is on the list, but I'm not so sure. And then there's like Robert Jordan, right, The Wheel of Time. I found 4 of the books at a thrift shop. I got super lucky. They were all of the same edition and stuff. So I feel like that's going to be a rare find. It's going to be I don't know, maybe I'll find them on the thrift shop run on the way back. So when I'm driving back home, I'm going to be dropping in on as many of these thrift shops as possible in that 10-hour drive. And so maybe I'll find some other books. I'm derailing. So the Wheel of Time, like I have book 1 and I'm like, is that like a series that I need to follow the words while absorbing the story? Man, I don't know. I would like to because I've never read Robert Jordan. And so I'd like to know, oh my God, is that his name? That would be embarrassing. Because I was just looking up a bunch of public domain audiobooks for Robert E. Howard. And that's why I got thrown off. Robert Jordan's books. So I don't know. I don't know if I feel like I need to follow the words. On top of the stack that you can't see that I keep looking at, above the Robert Jordan Wheel of Time books is the trilogy I also found in that same thrift haul, which was really lucky, same editions. And so I could do Lord of the Rings. Because Lord of the Rings is one of those, like, would I like to follow it along in the book? Yes, because of how dense I'm pretty sure the writing is. And so I want to, a hybrid mode would probably be the best mode for me there, is that I'm listening at faster speed because these are really dense books so I can get through them faster. But I would be following them on the book as well, so I have like double hyper focus kind of going on, and it allows me to retain a lot of the story pretty effectively. So I don't know if I can do those on the ride as well, but I have book 1 just in case, and then maybe the other 2 I will do a hybrid mode when I return. I'm not sure, but those ones are like hefty audiobooks, you know what I'm saying? So like that will burn away some time. Even the Robert Jordan one, that's a biggie. That's a biggie. So if I have 4 of the books, so I mean maybe one goes audio and then the other one I don't know. And anyway, so let's move on. I got the Sword of Shannara as well. So I found 2 of the original hardbacks in my last thrift haul, but I don't have book 1. And I've seen book 1 with an atrocious cover, like just completely damaged cover. I think there was water damage on the inside. So I held off, and I think, I'm going to be doing the thrift shop run on the way back. And I actually think like I might find book 1 of Sword of Shannara. I'm feeling hopeful about that one. I actually saw the King of Shannara at one of the thrift shops not in town, but like one of the 4 that are close. 4? 3. I've gone to 3. I haven't gone to the 4th one. It's a little bit further away. It's like an hour and a bit away. But one of the 3 that I've gone to, I've seen the King, and it was actually pretty decent condition, but I didn't find enough books for the deal, so I couldn't min-max it. So I was like, no, I'm going to wait. So what was I going to say? I don't have book 1. So that might be where I take the cheap route. It's like, on the way there, I might as well listen to book 1. And if I find it, now I found it, and it's in the collection, and then I can read the Elf Song, and what's the other one? one. It's too dark over there. I can't see it. But in any case, I then have the trilogy, the first trilogy I can get through whenever I want. So there's book one of Sword of Shannara. That's an option on the table. There is what else? Those are the main ones. I've tagged a bunch of Robert E. Howard public domain books, not necessarily Conan. And so I might be curious enough to just play a bunch of those because they're very short. They're short stories in those weird fiction anthologies back in the day, right? So that's an option. I can always look up H.P. Lovecraft or Edgar Allan Poe. I'd like to go through. I've gone through some of their works, but not all of them. Poe is like I did a pretty good grind on that fiction in the last like maybe 20 years ago, but I'd like to revisit it. And I got a collection I'd like to go through, but I'm not sure if I want to do that. Again, that's like writing where I would like to look at the words on the page because there's something about the writing that is it's part of the experience for some of these, or at least I want them as part of my experience. So I got to find 40 hours of books. I think I have enough. There's Stephen King. Stephen King is always one of those, like, you're going to find something. The Stand, you know what I mean? That's a massive one. The Dark Tower, book one even, right? I have never seen, I've seen like some of the Dark Tower books, but they're never like book one and on. It's always like a 3 and then a 5 or something. I'm like, they're different formats. They're like, no. If I'm going to buy a series like that, I would like them to match. That's because it's a big series and I want to see them. They got to look nice on my shelf. That's the rule on that one. And then what else? I am derailing again. Let's move on. We're just going to explore what the options are. And then you can see a Let's Play dropped on this channel. Steins Gate visual novel. It's been a game I've been trying to start and play and complete for 4 years. I've got the first 3 attempts at this. Didn't get too far. Only a couple hours in each. But it was always some reason why I couldn't proceed with the game. The first time is because I got a channel blocker. So the copyright blocker triggered. This was back in the 2019-2020 era. My first attempt, I maybe got 2 hours in, 3 hours in. And then I started uploading them to the gaming channel back in the day. And just country blockers by Mage Inc. And they're the ones who own the music on this game. And I think there's a buyout. I'm not sure. I looked into it. It's complicated. The copyright system on YouTube was also pretty shenanigan-y back in those days. It was really, really bad for the content creator side of things. And so I just gave up. I'm like, no. And I can't be recording these Let's Plays and then no one can see them because I got 130 country blocker on this thing. I can't fight this back, right? And then the copyright system updated. So I was like, I'm going to give this a shot again. I want to play this game. And then I had to stop that Let's Play because I had a lot of there was a lot of just life stuff that was really making it difficult for me to do anything. And so things had to sort of freeze for a few months. Steingates got hit. And then when I returned to it to continue it, I was rewatching the Let's Play, the second World Line Let's Play, the second recorded playthrough of this. And I wasn't hearing the music. And I was like, something doesn't seem right. And I actually legitimately, I'm like, what? This doesn't feel right. Like I remember kind of like there being some other vibe to this that I enjoyed. And then when I loaded up the game again, I was like, oh, wait, the music. Oh my God. And so I was like, no, I'm going to trash this. I'm going to do a third replay of this. I'm going to start from the beginning again. It's only 2 hours, 3 hours. I'm just going to start from the beginning. And so that was the third World Line. And so the music ended up getting the copyright flag on it, right? But it didn't do the country blocker. And I was like, I think we got something. I think it's going to work. And then life happened again. And I had to move. There was some health issues. My dog was blind and deaf with diabetes, and he started going paralyzed. And so that started throwing me off. I had to take another long break. I ended up deciding to move my house at the same time. And so the third World Line sort of died, and I got into this house. And then I started the fourth World Line, which is it's technically this one. The fourth one is me playing with the music, because now I was like, well, I'm not going to get country blocked. I might as well do that anyways. So I started from the beginning again, and then I got caught up, and I recorded one more episode. Some life stuff happened at this place, and some health issues. I got some nerve damage in my arm, so I couldn't actually play video games for like 4 to 5 months. My arms were like gone. The nerves were gone. And it was very painful to be at the desk and on the mouse for more than 30 minutes at a time. It would start at 15 minutes, then 30, then 45. I was like, I still can't do it, because then I have to edit, and I couldn't be on the computer to edit for too long. So I got one more episode in, and that was like a summer ago. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to sell my house. And then that's going to give me an excuse to just kind of move around and do something else while I'm kind of everything's down. I can just work on other things in life, and whether it was like my job or whether it was like other creative endeavors and stuff like that. So it was actually, I min-maxed my life for it. But it started this channel was one of the reasons. The end of this year was effectively like collapsing everything, and really kind of this channel would be like a place for me to come to create things and focus on, again, you've heard me say it, the mission statement, explore things and inspire, right? Myself, others, whatever the case might be, and find inspiration in creativity. So I was like, visual novels. I'm already doing books, like a booktube kind of angle here. And I think that visual novels is it's not that much of a stretch, and I want to experience this so that I can uplift my own creative spirit, I guess, along the way. And so sometimes that's going to include visual novels and video games that are very narrative heavy and driven. Usually indie games would be another kind of contender to bring to this channel, just because they're shorter, but they also have something I can investigate from a creative perspective. If they're interesting to folks, then I'll do whatever I gotta do, right? But if these are too long and don't really have any value, then I'll find another option, because that's what this channel's about. Just, I don't know, what's option B? What's option C? Cool, let's do that. And then this will eventually define itself. This is really what I'm kind of, the journey on this channel is let the channel just define itself. It's okay. It's okay to sort of just be on the ride, you know, as opposed to trying to control the ride. I'm an equal passenger in this journey, if you will, and I'm enjoying the ride, man. All right, so anyways, I'll catch you in the next one, whatever they're going to be, because you must embrace the now. The future is unpredictable. Don't forget to explore, engage, and inspire, buddy. Peace.